Iron ore is falling. Let's have a look. Good morning everyone, I'm Florian Heise and welcome to another episode of Heise Says. I've got my morning stein of coffee and I thought we would have a look at this article sent to me by a viewer, thank you very much by the way, from WA. Warning for Australia as iron ore begins to fall. This is from the WA Today and it's written by Nick Toscano. Now before we go through this article, let's have a little bit of a look at just iron ore globally and in Australia in particular, because it might surprise you. Because we all hear about the Western Australians going, we'll secede, we don't need the rest of you. You know, we don't get our fair share of the GST, and there's even a secessionist party. And here on the East, we arrogantly laugh, ha ha ha. Or maybe it's just me. But, you know, I think Australians are a little bit too apathetic with regards to thinking about it. But it's surprising how much of our iron ore is coming out of Western Australia, how many mines are actually over there, and how much we're dependent on that resource in our economy here. Now, this here is from the Observatory of Economic Complexity, and this is the product. Now, they've got all the products in the world. This is a website I'm referring to probably in every video at the moment when I'm discussing economics and different things, but it's important that people get an understanding about this stuff. When we hear the headlines or the reporters writing about things, it's good to have, you know, a bit of a understanding and appreciation. Now, if you like these type of videos and you think it's important that people, you know, have either a contrarian perspective or a better understanding of things, please share it with your friends and neighbors. It'd be great if you could tell me in the comments that I shared your video and we discussed iron ore trade in Western Australia over a Bundy. And this isn't sponsored content, guys. I just like Bundy rum. So, iron ore is the 23rd most traded product and the 1,165th most complex product according to the Product Complexity Index. Now, these are 23rd most traded means it's, well, traded a lot. Iron ore is used in a lot of things, guys, from Sentinel tanks that were cast to, modern building constructions. Now, the complexity here, this is the interesting thing. The complexity is essentially how complex it is. And the more complex the products that you are exporting for a civilization, the more advanced technologically your economy is, and, well, the more value it's adding to the products it's exporting. Australia is, well, we're pretty primitive, frankly, with regard to our economy. We're not very advanced, so we're a bit of a funny one. I tend to think of Australia more and more as a colony, sending resources back to Asia and Europe and the States. Now, you can see here we are the largest exporter of iron ore in the world, 52% at the time of this data. Brazil is number 2. Iron ore shot up at the beginning of the year because Brazil had some issues with some mines and flooding. And that was good for Australia's budget. Now, who's the biggest importer of iron ore? Look at that. 63% of the iron ore in the world is going to China. And then, I'm going to tell you the second one is, then Japan. Look at that difference though. 59 billion to 7.6 billion. So China, Japan, and then South Korea. Where's, the United States is right down there. Then Germany probably. Is Germany the next one? Yep, Germany. And then the Netherlands. Okay, that surprises me. It really does. Car manufacturing, guys, I wonder why. I'll have a look at it at another time. But you can see here, the big players in the export sector and just the big players in the import sector. So the Chinese economy is going to naturally have an impact on iron ore. China's trade negotiations with the United States, regardless of where the market is moving, if phase 1 just gets us back to the status quo, is that going to be a benefit in the long run? And what effect is it going to have on the Chinese economy? These are all things to consider. Our treasurer is hoping that domestic demand in China will, encourage or maintain this demand for iron ore and other Australian resources. I'm not as confident. So here we go. We've got, this is Australia's economic complexity. And I'll link to this website. It is a lot of fun to go through, guys. So let's have a look here. This is just on trading economics, and we can have a look. We'll scroll down. Coffee. Well, coffee's up 1.34%. I know silver is down today. It's not doing too well. Where is it? There we go. Silver down 2.95%. Gold down 1.5%. Because, well, it looks like the market is responding to some news about potential lack of tariffs in the US. So it shows you how the market is all over the place today. It's very emotional. Well, in general, I think. So let's have a look here. Iron ore. It's at 81.5. So it's increased 13.99% since the beginning of 2019. We can see here, I mean, there you go. It's $124 at July. That's where it spiked up. And it's gone right down to $80. $80. We'll go to 5-year. We'll go to 10 years. You can see here where we're sitting now over 10 years. What was the highest? 195. Shot back down. When was that? Just after the GFC. So I would imagine that would have to do with a lot of demand for imports into China, driving up the price of iron ore, and then it shot up again. This is when we were working a lot of mines. You can see here the prices that it was going at. And it's interesting when you work on projects in the mining sector, the cost of coal and iron ore, that affects the scale of the projects. We had one we were looking at, Weipa, a job several times where they had to keep making it smaller over the years just to make it viable. Now, before we jump into that article, there's one more thing I want to look at. One more thing. Now, this data is from the Australian Mines Atlas, and this is from 2014 of the active mines. It's the latest I could get, but it gives us a good representation. Now, what you'll see here is these are all the different mines. So this is great. You can all get this and bring it into the pro version of Google if you want to see. But let's just have a look at the iron ore mines in New South Wales. Oh, wait a minute. There isn't any. Queensland. Where's Queensland? Have I turned it on? Yes, I have. Oh, Mount Moss. Yes, we've got one there. Sorry, no. We've got Talawang. And that's an iron ore mine. Victoria. Doesn't look like it. Tasmania, they've got two. Savage River. And the Cara mine. There you go. Tasmanian Mines Limited. And Grange Resources Australian Bulk Minerals. Iron ore and vanadium. So there we go. So they've got a few other things. But let's have a look at what I don't know why I'm looking at Tasmania, guys. But you've got a couple in South Australia. It looks like we've got one in Northern Territory. And we have a couple in Western Australia, guys. I mean, have a look at this. Rio Tinto. I mean, come on. Christmas Creek. There you go. Fortescue Metals. Iron ore website. Jimbilba. BHP. So, there you go. Yilgarn. Mount Gibson. So there's a lot of iron ore mines in Western Australia. It is our iron ore state. Now, if you look at the history of iron ore, Australia didn't used to export any of it. It was all meant to be retained in the country for our own needs until some entrepreneurs discovered large portions of iron ore here and lobbied to change the law. And, I mean, look at that. Look how much is there. That's crazy. So, understandably, Western Australia is very dependent on that sector. So a fall in iron ore, well, what do you think that's going to do to WA? And the question I'm asking again is, will the increase in gold and silver, will it offset that in WA? What do you think? Well, actually, let's just jump here and do a completely unscientific test. And what we'll do is we'll bring up, where's gold? You can see here. Okay, so there's a lot of gold mines in WA and silver. Nope, they're mostly on this side over here. I know my brother-in-law works in a silver or a lead nitrate mine up in northern Queensland. I keep saying, oh, can you get me a deal on some silver? And it's not in a easy way to transport. Very unhealthy, probably some lead concoction that would kill me in an instant. But I'm trying to find you guys deals too. So, a failed souffle. Warning for Australia as iron ore begins to fall. The extraordinary run experienced by Australia's iron ore miners this year is quickly coming to an end, according to Deloitte, which says a sharp sell-off in recent months is a sobering reminder of how quickly things can change in the volatile commodities market. Delivering a bumper profit season for BHP, Rio Tinto, and Andrew Fortescue Metals and Gina Reinhardt's Hancock Prospecting, iron ore has been comfortably the best performing commodity of 2019 in a market reeling from trade conflict and uncertainty, says Deloitte's mining lead partner, Ian Sanders. On the back of strong demand from China's steel mills, there you go, and a global supply shortage following a dam collapse at a major Brazilian mine, the benchmark price of iron ore hit US $120 a ton. There you go, bloody hell. That's more expensive than coffee. The boom also delivers a significant and timely boost to national GDP growth and the Morrison government's federal budget, as iron ore is Australia's biggest export. Yeah, it puts a whole lot into perspective, guys. That's why our economic complexity is so low. But all things come to an end, says Deloitte's Mr. Sanders, who pointed out that the seaborne iron ore price recently experienced its steepest monthly decline in more than 8 years. The forces that pushed iron ore to US $121 a ton in mid-July, China's steel production, and the tightness in the iron ore supply chain are simultaneously unraveling, he said. With miners warning on 2020 price outlook, iron ore has exhibited all the elements of a failed souffle, promising the world, but ultimately falling flat on closer inspection. See, this is the problem. I'm actually fasting at the moment, and this is making me hungry. Thumbs up if you are a fan of the truffle song, and I will link to that here because it's to do with West Australian aims to revitalise their economy with truffles. And thank you to the viewer who created that song. It's really good. So, falling back around 30% from its previous peak, the iron ore price has dipped back below US 90 as supply begins to stabilise and the ongoing US-China trade war weighs on the economy of China, which makes about half of the world's steel output. Rio Tinto Chief Executive Jean-Sébastien Jacques last week said he remained the optimist in the room on the chance of an imminent resolution to the tariff war between the two superpowers that has been rattling world markets and casting a cloud over the outlook for global economic growth. Everybody understands it is in the interests of everyone to find a solution to the current challenges, he said. Lots of discussions are taking place as far as I understand. I've no doubt it will be resolved, and the sooner the better. Industry analysts will be closely watching the pace of global iron ore supply growth as Vale restarts production in Brazil, as well as demand trends out of Chinese factories amid concerns of a slowdown in the country's property sector and economic headwinds from the trade war. Vivek Dar, a mining and energy commodities analyst with the Commonwealth Bank of Australia, said the disruptions that have dogged the iron ore market have subsided, leading to prices falling amid an improved supply. Although there was the prospect of a US-China trade deal, it has not yet moved physical demand, he said. See, that's an interesting point. You'll see that the market for commodity is, moving up and down, and you can see it quite clearly in gold and silver, depending on this trade news. If there's anything positive about a potential removal of the tariffs, the market is responding, like jumping all over the place. It's quite interesting to watch. And I don't know if I would be ballsy enough to try and play the CFD markets to try and take advantage of that news. I think I would probably jump too early or jump too late, knowing me. Let me know if you're making a good go at it, guys. Anyway, so what do you think? What do you think this impact on Australia? Just look at WA. Look at some of the housing issues that are in WA. Look at some of the mortgage stress issues in WA that Martin North and John Adams talk about all the time. Just think what's going to happen if we get a decline in the iron ore sector. Will gold bring it up? So I'll link to that other video as well. I'll write that here. So guys, thank you for watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Also, if you enjoy my content and want to help me produce more, I have a Patreon and a Subscribe star, and I really appreciate everyone's support. I also have an Amazon affiliate link where you can make a purchase and I receive a small commission. It doesn't cost you anything extra. And guys, Thank you all very much. I'll talk to you later today. Have a great day.